The wind on Terra 7 cut through clothing like knives made of ice. Jake pulled his thermal jacket around his body and checked his wrist scanner again. The temperature had dropped 15 degrees in the last hour. That was not supposed to happen. The weather satellites had predicted stable conditions for at least 3 more days. He was 5 miles from the main camp, too far to walk back before the storm hit. Jake had been collecting rock samples from the canyon edge when the temperature started falling. Now, he needed to set up his emergency shelter and wait out whatever was coming. Jake pressed the button on his communicator. Static filled his ear. He tried again. More static. The electromagnetic interference was already too strong. The camp would know he was out here. They would not worry until he missed his evening check-in. That gave him 4 hours to survive. He pulled the emergency tent from his pack and found a flat area between 2 large rocks. The rocks would block some of the wind. He worked quickly, his fingers already starting to feel numb despite his gloves. The tent snapped into place, its carbon frame rigid and stable. Jake crawled inside and activated the heating unit. Warm air began to fill the small space. Outside, the wind grew louder. Ice crystals started hitting the tent walls with sharp tapping sounds. Jake pulled out a thermal blanket and wrapped it around himself. He had food, water, and heat. He would be fine. This was not his first storm. Then he saw movement through the tent wall, something dark against the white snow. Jake grabbed his scanner and looked at the display. A life form, not human, 20 meters away and moving slowly. His training said to stay inside. Unknown life forms could be dangerous, but the life form was moving toward him, not away. That meant it might be in trouble. Jake made a decision. He pulled his jacket hood up and opened the tent flap. The cold hit him like a physical blow. He could barely see through the blowing snow. Jake turned on his flashlight and swept it across the area. There, a figure in the snow. It was crawling. Jake ran toward it. The figure was small, maybe 5 feet tall, wearing some kind of environmental suit. The suit was torn along one side. As Jake got closer, he could see the person inside was shaking badly. The skin visible through the helmet was pale blue, not human. "Hey," Jake shouted over the wind. "Can you hear me?" The figure's head turned toward him. Through the helmet, he saw large eyes and delicate features. The alien was female, or at least appeared to be. Her mouth moved, but Jake could not hear the words. He did not think, he just acted. Jake scooped the alien up in his arms. She was lighter than he expected. He carried her back to his tent and pushed through the entrance. Once inside, he sealed the flap behind them. The alien collapsed onto the tent floor. Her whole body was shaking. Jake could see her breath coming out in white clouds. Her suit temperature display showed numbers in a script he could not read, but they were flashing red. That was universal. Red meant danger. Okay, Jake said, speaking slowly. "I need to warm you up." He grabbed his thermal blankets and wrapped them around her. The alien's eyes followed him, but she did not speak. Jake activated a second heating unit and placed it near her. Then he opened his medical kit. The alien's hands moved weakly. She touched her helmet controls and the helmet retracted. Jake got his first clear look at her face. She had large dark eyes, smooth blue skin, and no hair. Her features were delicate and symmetrical. She looked young, maybe late teens or early 20s in human terms. "Cold," she whispered in accented English. "So cold." "I know," Jake said. He pulled off his gloves and touched her hand through the torn part of her suit. Her skin was like ice. "We need to get you warm. Can you understand me?" She nodded weakly. "Yes, English I learn." Jake looked at her suit more carefully. The tear ran from her shoulder to her waist. The internal heating system was exposed and damaged. Without it, she had no protection from the cold. "What happened?" Jake asked. "Where is your ship?" "Storm," she said. Her teeth were chattering. "Separated ship left." "Left?" Jake felt anger rise in his chest. "They left you." "Protocol," the alien said. Storm too dangerous, they must go to safety. Jake wrapped another blanket around her. The heating units were working, but she was still shaking badly. He made a decision he knew might get him in trouble later. He sat down next to her and pulled her against his side, sharing his body heat. The alien stiffened for a moment, then relaxed against him. "Warm," she whispered. "Yeah, well, humans run hot," Jake said. He kept one arm around her and used his free hand to adjust the heating units. "What is your name?" She said quietly, "My name is." "I am Jake. You are going to be okay. The storm will pass and then I can get you to my camp. We have medical facilities there." Did not respond. Her shaking was starting to slow. That was good. Jake checked his scanner. The storm was getting worse, but his tent was holding steady. They would be safe here. Jake said after a few minutes. Her voice was stronger now. "Your people know laws." "Is that your species?" Jake asked. "No, I do not think so. We just got to this planet 3 weeks ago. The survey company said it was uninhabited." "Not inhabit," said. "We survey too, look for minerals." "So we are both here looking for rocks," Jake said with a small laugh. "The galaxy is smaller than I thought." Did not laugh. She pulled away from him slightly and looked at his face. Her large eyes were filled with something that looked like fear. "Jake," she said slowly, "you helped me, you saved my life." "Well, yeah," Jake said. "You were dying, what else would I do?" "Among my people," said, and her voice was shaking again, but not from cold. "When one saves life of another, it creates bond. Very serious bond. It is called rendering." "Okay," Jake said. He did not understand why she looked so scared. "That sounds nice, like a friendship thing." "No," whispered. "Not friendship. You do not understand. I must tell you, but you must understand I had no choice. The cold, I could not survive." "What are you talking about?" Jake asked. "I helped you because you needed help. That is what humans do." His eyes grew wider. "That is what humans do," she repeated. "You help not knowing law, not knowing consequence." "What consequence?" Jake asked. He was starting to feel worried now. Looked down at her hands. "By saving my life, by law of my people, you now own my life. I am bound to you. Property transfer is complete." Jake stared at her. "What? No, that is not what I did. I just did not want you to freeze to death." "I know," said, and a tear rolled down her blue cheek. "That makes it worse. You are kind person, Jake, but I have made terrible mistake. I should have died in the snow." "Do not say that," Jake said firmly. "Nobody should die if they can be saved." "You do not understand," said. She was shaking again. "My family will know. My people monitor my vital signs. They will know human male saved me. They will know about rendering. They will come for you. They will say you enslaved citizen, and I cannot tell them truth." "What truth?" Jake demanded. "What are you not telling me?" Looked up at him with those huge dark eyes. Outside, the storm howled. The heating units hummed, and said the words that would change everything. "I damaged my own suit," she whispered. "I walked into storm on purpose. I was running away, and now I have dragged you into something terrible." Jake opened his mouth to respond, but his communicator suddenly crackled to life. A voice spoke in a language he did not understand. Then it switched to English. "Human male designated Jake," the voice said. "This is Vessel Guardian. We detect you have interfered with citizen. Prepare to surrender yourself for judgment. We are entering atmosphere now." Jake stared at the communicator in his hand. The voice had gone silent after delivering its message. Outside the tent, the storm continued to rage. Beside him had gone completely still. Jake said carefully, "You need to explain this to me, all of it, right now." She nodded slowly. Her blue skin had warmed to a healthier shade, but her expression remained frightened. "I will tell you everything. You deserve to know what I have done." "Start from the beginning," Jake said. Took a deep breath. "My family is powerful among the. We own 3 mining operations and have seats on the Resource Council. My parents arranged a union for me with Lord. He controls the largest refining facilities in our system. An arranged marriage, Jake said. I have heard of those. Yes, among my people such unions are common. They strengthen families and create business partnerships, but is cruel. I have seen how he treats his workers. They fear him. I did not want to spend my life with such a person. Jake shifted his position to face her better. So you ran away. I volunteered for this survey mission. It was supposed to last 6 months. I thought perhaps in that time things would change. Perhaps my parents would find another match. But 3 days ago I received message, was coming here, to Terra 7. The union ceremony was moved forward. And you could not refuse, Jake said. To refuse would bring shame to my family. We would lose our council seats. My younger siblings would have no future. I could not do that to them. Hands twisted together. So I made different choice. I damaged my suit and walked into the storm. If I died, it would be accident. My family would have honor. They could negotiate new arrangement. Jake felt his chest tighten. You tried to kill yourself. I tried to save my family the only way I could, said quietly. But I was weak. The cold was so painful. I saw your light and I crawled toward it. I should have let the cold take me, but I could not. I was afraid. She looked at him. And you found me. And I brought you inside, Jake said, which triggered this rendering law. Yes, his voice was barely above a whisper. The rendering is old law, very old. It says that if one person saves the life of another, the saved person becomes property of the saver. Their life belongs to the one who rescued them. Jake felt anger building in his chest. That is barbaric. You are not property. Nobody is property. I know humans think this way, said, but my people developed this law for reason. Long ago, other species would save lives deliberately and then demand payment. They would make us slaves to repay life debt. The rendering law was created to prevent this. If you save, they become yours immediately. This way, nobody can claim a debt later. The transaction is complete right away. But I did not know about this law, Jake protested. I just helped you because you needed help. That is what my family will not believe, said. They will think you knew. They will think you planned it. Why else would human be on this planet in this exact place at this exact time? Because I was collecting rock samples, Jake said. This is insane. I can explain what happened. They will not listen, said. She reached out and touched his hand. Jake, you must understand. Among my people there is no such thing as help without price. Everything is transaction. I give you something, you give me something. Nobody acts from kindness alone. They will think you are lying. But you know the truth, Jake said. You can tell them. Looked away. If I tell them I tried to end my life, I bring greater shame to my family, and it will not help you. They will still say you exploited the situation. Jake stood up and paced the small space of the tent. His mind was racing. Okay, let me think. Your ship is coming. What happens when they get here? They will take you to their vessel. They will question you. Then they will send formal complaint to your species and demand punishment. His voice was shaking. Jake, I am so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. What about you? Jake asked. What happens to you? I will be returned to my family. The union ceremony will proceed as planned, and I will belong to as I was always meant to. She looked up at him. Unless. Unless what? Unless you choose to keep me, said. Under rendering law, you have the right. I am yours now. You can take me to your camp. Register me with your authorities. My family cannot stop you. Jake stopped packing. You want me to claim ownership of you? No, said quickly. I do not want that, but it is better than, at least you are a kind person. At least you would not hurt me. I am not going to own you, Jake said firmly. That is not happening. We will find another way. His communicator crackled again. This time it was a human voice. Jake, this is Commander Phillips at base camp. We are receiving communication from an alien vessel. They are demanding we turn you over to them. What the hell is going on out there? Jake grabbed the communicator. "Sir, it is a long story. I found an alien woman in the storm and brought her into my shelter. Apparently that triggered some kind of law that I did not know about." "Stand by," Phillips said. The line went quiet for a moment. Then Phillips came back. "Jake, we are pulling up the files on the species now. This is a mess. They are claiming you enslaved one of their citizens." "That is not what happened, sir," Jake said. "She was dying, I helped her." "I believe you," Phillips said, "but we need to sort this out properly. The ship wants to land and retrieve both of you. I am telling them to wait until the storm passes. That gives us maybe 2 hours. Can you hang tight?" "Yes, sir," Jake said. "And Jake, do not do anything stupid. We have lawyers on the company payroll. Let them handle this." The communication ended. Jake looked at, "My commander is buying us time." "Time for what?" asked. "The law is clear, there is no argument." "Maybe there is," Jake said. He sat down next to her again. "You said everything with your people is a transaction, right? Give and take." "Yes," said. "Then we make this a transaction. You say I own your life now. Fine. As the owner, I am giving your life back to you. Free and clear. No debt. No obligation. Transaction complete." His eyes widened. "That is not how it works. You cannot just give life back." "Why not?" Jake asked. "If I own it, I can do what I want with it, and I am choosing to return it." "Because," said slowly, "if you give something without taking payment, it is considered either manipulation or insanity. My people will think you are planning something worse. They will be more suspicious, not less." Jake rubbed his face with his hands. "Your culture makes no sense to me." "And yours makes no sense to me," said. "You save life of stranger, you ask nothing in return. You share your warmth, your shelter, your supplies. Why? What do you gain?" "The satisfaction of helping someone," Jake said. "Is that not enough?" Looked at him like he had said something in a foreign language. "That is not real thing. That is not something you can measure or trade." "Maybe not," Jake said, "but it is real to humans. Look, I do not care about your laws or your customs. I care that you are safe. We will figure out the rest." "You are a strange person," Jake said, but she was almost smiling now. The storm began to weaken. Jake could hear the wind dying down outside. They sat together in silence for a while, then spoke again. "Jake, I must warn you about something. Lord will be on the ship. He will be very angry about this situation." "Let him be angry," Jake said. "You do not understand. Is not just cruel. He is dangerous. He has killed before. Workers who tried to leave his facilities. Competitors who challenged his business. And now he will see you as someone who stole his property." "You are not property," Jake said for the 3rd time. "He will try to hurt you," continued. "Or worse, you must be careful around him." "I can handle myself," Jake said. "I believe you can," said quietly, "but I do not want you to be hurt because of me. You have already lost so much by helping me." "I have not lost anything," Jake said. "Not anything that matters." Reached out and took his hand. Her blue fingers were warm now. "Why are you like this? Why are humans like this? It makes no sense. It is not logical. It is not safe. But it is beautiful." Before Jake could respond, the tent flap opened. 3 figures in environmental suits stood outside. They were. Behind them, through the clearing storm, Jake could see a large ship settling onto the ice. One of them spoke. "Jake of House, you will come with us. The council has convened to judge this matter." Jake stood up. He helped to her feet. "We are coming peacefully," he said, "but I want it on record that I acted to save a life, nothing more." "Your intentions will be examined," they said. "Now come, do not make this difficult." Jake and walked out into the cold. The storm had passed, but the temperature was still brutal. They were escorted to the ship. As they reached the boarding ramp, Jake saw another figure waiting at the top. He was tall for a, with deep purple skin and cold eyes. He wore expensive clothing and carried himself with arrogance. When he saw, his expression darkened. "So," the man said in perfect English, "this is the human who dared to touch what belongs to me." His hand tightened on Jake's arm. "That is," she whispered. Jake looked up at the Lord and did not flinch. Whatever happened next, he would face it head-on. That was the human way. The interior of the ship was nothing like Jake expected. Everything was sharp angles and cold metal. The walls were bare except for screens displaying data in flowing alien script. There was no decoration, no comfort. It felt more like a machine than a vessel meant for living beings. Led them through narrow corridors. Others watched as they passed, but none spoke. Jake kept his hand near his elbow, a gesture of support. She walked with her head down, like she was trying to make herself smaller. They entered a large chamber. At the far end sat 5 behind a raised platform. They wore formal robes in different colors. The council, Jake realized. This was the judgment had warned him about. "Present the humans," one of the council members said. Her voice was cold and precise. "I am not humans," Jake said. "I am one human, singular." The council member's eyes narrowed. "You correct council." "I correct grammar," Jake said. Beside him made a small sound that might have been either fear or surprise. Stepped forward. "Counselors, this human demonstrates the arrogance of his kind. He stole my intended bride using trickery, and now he mocks our authority." "I did not steal anyone," Jake said calmly. "I found someone dying in a storm and I helped her. Where I come from, that is called basic decency." "Silence," another council member said. This one was male with silver-blue skin. "You will speak only when council asks questions." A third member, an older with deep wrinkles, gestured at a screen. "We have reviewed data from Biomonitor. The logs show her environmental suit was damaged. Temperature fell rapidly. Without intervention, death was certain within minutes. Then human life signs appeared nearby. Temperature began to rise. 2 hours later, she was stable." "That matches what happened," Jake said. The wrinkled continued. "What does not match is the timing. You were 5 miles from your base camp, in an area with no geological interest. Survey records show you should have been 3 miles east. Why were you in that exact location?" Jake felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. They were building a case. "I followed an interesting rock formation. I am a geologist. That is what I do." "Convenient," said. "Very convenient that you happen to be exactly where my bride would need rescue." "I had no idea she was out there," Jake protested. "Your people did not tell us you were on this planet. We thought we were alone." The first council member spoke again. "Ignorance is not defense. You triggered rendering law. The bond is formed, now belongs to you." "She does not belong to me," Jake said firmly. "She is not property. I reject that entire concept." The chamber went silent. The council members looked at each other. Finally, the older one spoke. "You reject the rendering." "Yes," Jake said. "I did not know about your law. I cannot be held responsible for breaking a rule I did not know existed. And even if I did know, I would have helped her anyway because it was the right thing to do." "Human law may be different," the Silver Blue Council member said. "But you are in space now. You must follow law." "Actually," a new voice said from the doorway, "Terra 7 is in unclaimed territory. Neither human nor authority applies here." Everyone turned. A woman in a formal uniform walked into the chamber. She was human, middle-aged, with sharp eyes and confident stride. Behind her came Commander Phillips and 2 other humans Jake did not recognize. "I am ambassador," the woman said. "I represent Earth and her colonies. I received emergency transmission about this incident and I came immediately." She looked at the council. "With all respect, you have no authority to judge a human citizen." "He violated our law," the first council member said. "A law he did not know," replied. "A law your people deliberately concealed from us. We have been surveying this planet for 3 weeks. Not once did you inform us of your presence or your customs. How can you expect compliance with rules you keep secret?" The older council member shifted in his seat. The rendering law is known throughout the galaxy. Not to humans, said. We only entered this sector 6 months ago. Your law is not in any database we received during first contact protocols. Stepped forward. This is meaningless debate. The law is the law. The human saved life. The bond is formed, but I am willing to be generous. I will purchase from the human. Name your price and this matter is settled. Jake felt rage building in his chest. She is not for sale because I do not own her. Everyone has a price, said with a cold smile. Credits, technology, mining rights. None of those, Jake said. I want nothing from you. His expression darkened. Then you plan to keep her for yourself. You want female for your own purposes. That is not what I said, Jake snapped. What do you want? Demanded. What is your price for her return? I want her to be free, Jake said. To make her own choices, to live her own life. The chamber went silent again. This time the silence lasted longer. Finally spoke. Her voice was quiet but clear. May I address the council? The wrinkled nodded. You may speak, child. Stepped forward. She stood now, her head up. Counselors, Lord, I must tell you the truth of what happened. I damaged my own suit. I walked into the storm deliberately. Gasps came from around the chamber. His face went purple with anger. You lie to avoid your obligation. I do not lie, said. My suit logs will show the damage came from inside, not outside. I used my cutting tool. I wanted to die. The older council member leaned forward. Why would you do this? Because I did not want to be bound to Lord, said. Jake heard strength in her voice now. I know this brings shame to my family. I know I have failed my obligations, but I could not face a life with someone who frightens me. You selfish child, hissed. Your family will lose everything because of your cowardice. Perhaps, said, but Jake saved me without knowing who I was or what I was worth. He shared his warmth and shelter, asking nothing in return. He gave me thermal blankets that cost credits. He activated heating units that drain his power supply. And when I told him about the rendering, he did not try to claim me. He wanted to give my life back to me. She turned to look at the council. I have been studying humans since I arrived at their camp. They help each other constantly. They share food. They repair each other's equipment. They risk danger to protect one another. And they do these things without keeping score of who owes what. It is how they live. The silver-blue council member shook his head. That is not possible. No species can function without transaction. Yet humans do, Ambassador said. Our entire society is built on cooperation and mutual aid. Yes, we have commerce and trade, but we also have friendship and kindness. We give without expecting return because it makes our communities stronger. That is manipulation, said. You give small things so others will owe you large things later. No, Jake said. We give because we care about each other, because we believe everyone deserves help when they need it, because it is right. The first council member spoke. Human philosophy is irrelevant. The law is clear. Rendering has occurred. The bond exists. Then I invoke my right under the rendering, said loudly. Her voice echoed through the chamber. The council members sat up. What right do you claim? The older one asked. The right of choice, said. It is ancient law, written into the original rendering codes. If the saved person believes the saver acted with pure intent, they may choose how to honor the bond. Laughed harshly. That right has not been invoked in 300 years. It requires proof of pure intent. How can you prove what was in the human's mind? The council has the biomonitor data, said. It records not just my vital signs but Jake's as well. During the time he helped me, his heart rate was elevated from concern. His stress hormones showed worry. His body language, recorded by my suit sensors, showed protective behavior. There was no deception, no calculation, only honest fear for my safety. The older council member touched his screen. Data scrolled across it. He studied it for a long moment. Then he looked up. The data confirms this. The human showed biological markers consistent with genuine concern and altruism. Altruism, the wrinkled said slowly, like he was testing the word. Helping without benefit to self. We thought this was myth. It is real, Jake said, and it is what humans do best. The council members conferred quietly among themselves. Finally, the older one spoke. This council recognizes the right of choice. Of house, state your decision. Stood tall. I choose to honor the bond with Jake not as property but as free partnership. I will stay with the humans and learn their ways. I will teach them about customs in return. This is how I fulfill my obligation under the rendering. His face went dark with rage. This is insult. I demand compensation for the loss of the union agreement. You will receive none, the older council member said. The right of choice supersedes all prior arrangements. Has spoken. The bond is sealed in her own terms. Her family will be destroyed, said. They will lose their council seats. Their business will fail. All because this human corrupted her mind with his soft philosophy. My family will survive, said quietly, and they will have their honor. I have not brought them shame. I have shown them something new. Ambassador stepped forward. If this council has no further business with us, we will return to our camp. The first council member waved her hand. Go, but know this, humans. The galaxy is not kind to those who give without taking. Your weakness will be exploited. Others will learn to manipulate your generous nature. You will learn that transaction is survival. Maybe, Jake said, or maybe others will learn that kindness is strength. We will see. As they left the chamber, blocked their path one last time. You have made enemy today, human. I do not forget those who steal from me. Jake looked him in the eye. I stole nothing. She was never yours. She is her own person. The sooner you understand that, the better. They walked past him. Outside the ship, Jake took a deep breath of cold air. It felt like freedom. The human base camp on Terra 7 was nothing like the ship. Where their vessel had been cold and sterile, the human facility buzzed with warmth and activity. People moved through the corridors talking and laughing. Music played from somewhere. The walls were covered with personal items, photos, drawings, and messages. Stopped in the main hallway and stared. Why is there so much noise? That is just people living, Jake said. Come on, I will show you where you will stay. He led her to a small room with a bed, a desk, and a window looking out at the frozen landscape. It was simple but comfortable. Touched the blanket on the bed. It was soft, much softer than anything on the ship. This is for me, she asked. All yours, Jake said. Lisa, our chief engineer, brought in some extra blankets for you. She said run cold so you might need them. Who is Lisa? Asked. She is the person who keeps all our equipment running, and she is excited to meet you. Actually, everyone is excited to meet you. They have about 1,000 questions. Felt worry rise in her chest. What kind of questions? About your people, your technology, what you eat, what you do for fun. Normal getting to know you stuff. Jake smiled. Do not worry, they are friendly. I will be right there with you. Over the next week, began to understand what Jake meant. The humans did not treat her like property or even like a stranger. They treated her like she was already part of their community. Lisa spent hours teaching about human engineering principles. The older woman had bright red hair and laughed constantly. She showed how human tools worked and asked detailed questions about technology in return. So you are telling me your cutting lasers use a triple-phase modulation, Lisa said one afternoon in the workshop. That is brilliant. We have been trying to solve the heat dissipation problem for years. It is standard technology, said, not special. Special is relative, Lisa said with a grin. To us, it is revolutionary. Here, help me with this calibration. Fresh eyes always help. Found herself working alongside Lisa, adjusting settings on a mining drill. When they finished, Lisa clapped her on the shoulder. Great work. You have good instincts. You do not need to pay me for this, said carefully. Lisa looked confused. Pay you? We are just working together, colleagues help each other. But I owe you for the blankets, said, and for the room, and for the time you spend teaching me. You do not owe me anything, Lisa said gently. That is not how this works. You are part of the team now. We help each other because that is what teams do. Struggled to understand this. Every time she tried to offer payment or service in exchange for the kindness shown to her, the humans looked confused or even hurt. They genuinely seemed to expect nothing in return. She watched Jake carefully over those first days. He treated her exactly as he treated everyone else. He asked her opinions. He shared his food. He introduced her to other team members. He never once mentioned that he had saved her life or that she owed him anything. One evening, found Jake in the common room. He was playing a game with 3 other humans, moving pieces on a board and laughing at their mistakes. One of the others called out. His name was Chris, a geologist like Jake. Come join us, we need a 4th player. I do not know the rules, said. We will teach you, Chris said. It is easy and fun. Sat down. They explained the game with patience and good humor. When she made mistakes, they laughed with her, not at her. When she won her first round, they cheered. Later, walking back to her room, Jake fell into step beside her. You did well tonight, you learned fast. Why do they include me? Asked. I am not human, I am. So, Jake said, you are here, you are part of the team, that is what matters. But my people would not do this, said. If a human came to a facility, they would be kept separate. They would be given a transaction code. Everything they received would be logged and payment expected. That sounds exhausting, Jake said. It is how things work, said. How do you keep track of who owes what? We do not, Jake said simply. Look, I know this is hard for you to understand, but we believe that if everyone gives when they can and takes only what they need, everything balances out. We do not need to keep score. Stopped walking. Jake, what do you gain from all this? From saving me, from letting me stay here, from being kind to me? Jake thought for a moment. I get to know you. I get to learn about your people. I get to see you smile when you win a game or understand a new concept. I get the satisfaction of knowing I did the right thing. He looked at her. Is that not enough? My people would say no, said quietly, but I am starting to think my people might be wrong. 3 weeks after the council judgment, an emergency alert shook the base. Commander Phillips gathered everyone in the main hall. We just received a distress signal, he said. A mining station about 50 miles north is under attack. Raiders hit them hard. They are requesting any nearby assistance. The room went silent. Finally, someone spoke. Why would they ask us for help? I thought did not trust humans. They do not, Phillips said, but they are desperate. The raiders have taken hostages. Several workers are injured. Their security forces cannot handle it. What kind of raiders? Jake asked. Phillips said, mercenaries. They are after the refined crystals in the facility's vault, worth millions. Lisa spoke up. Sir, with respect, this is not our problem. They have made it clear they do not want our help. They barely tolerate our presence on this planet. I know, Phillips said, and normally I would agree, but people are dying. I am not going to stand by and let that happen just because of politics. He looked around the room. I need volunteers. This will be dangerous. Nobody will think less of you if you stay here. Jake stood immediately. I will go. Me too, Lisa said. One by one, others stood. Within minutes, half the base had volunteered, watched in amazement. These humans were willing to risk their lives for people who had treated them with suspicion and scorn. Philip said, we could use your help. You know the layout of facilities, and you speak the language better than our translators. I will help, said without hesitation. They geared up quickly. Jake helped adjust her borrowed armor and checked her equipment. Stay close to me, he said. Do not take unnecessary risks. I could say the same to you, replied. The flight to the mining station took 20 minutes. As they approached, could see the damage. Sections of the facility were venting atmosphere. Bodies floated in space, both ends. They hit hard, the pilot said. Looks like they breached through the loading bay. They landed at an auxiliary port. Jake led the team inside, moving with practiced efficiency. Stayed right behind him, translating the emergency signs on the walls. They found the first group of hostages in the refinery section. 6 workers huddled in a corner while 2 raiders stood guard. When the raiders saw the humans, they opened fire. Jake and his team returned fire with precision. They disabled both raiders without killing them. The workers stared in shock as Jake cut through their restraints. "You are free," told the men. "We are here to help." "Why?" one of the workers asked. "We are nothing to you." "You are people in danger," Jake said through translation. "That is enough." They moved deeper into the facility. At the main vault, they found the leader of the raiders holding a dozen workers at gunpoint. He was massive, twice the size of a human, with weapons built into his arms. "Stay back," the raider growled, "or I kill them all." Jake stepped forward slowly. "You do not want to do that. Your crew is already captured. Your ships are disabled. There is no escape, but you can still walk out of here alive." "Humans," the raider spat. "I heard about you. Soft hearts, weak minds. You think everyone can be reasoned with." "Not everyone," Jake admitted. "But I think you are smart enough to know when you are beaten." The raider laughed. "You give me one reason I should trust you." "Because if I wanted you dead, you would be dead already," Jake said calmly. "My people have had clear shots for the last 30 seconds, but we do not want to kill you. We want everyone to walk away from this." The raider looked around. He saw the human team positioned strategically, weapons trained but not firing. He saw translating, trying to keep the workers calm. He saw Jake standing there, confident but not aggressive. Slowly, the raider lowered his weapon. "You are either very brave or very stupid human." "Maybe both," Jake said with a small smile. "Now step away from those people." The raider. Within minutes, all the hostages were freed. The workers stood together, looking at their rescuers with confusion and something that might have been gratitude. The facility commander, a named Kelvin, approached Jake. He was older with distinguished silver markings on his face. "You saved my people." "We helped," Jake said simply. "Why?" Kelvin asked. "After how we treated you at the council, after we accused you." "Because you needed help," Jake said. "That is all that matters." Kelvin studied Jake for a long moment. "What is your price for this rescue?" Jake looked tired. "No price. We are neighbors on this planet. Neighbors help each other." "I do not understand you," Kelvin said quietly. "I know," Jake said, "but maybe someday you will." News of the rescue spread fast. Within 2 days, everyone in the sector knew that humans had saved workers at the mining station without demanding payment. The reaction was confusion mixed with suspicion. Some called it a trick, others called it foolishness, but a few, like Kelvin, began to ask questions. Found herself in an unexpected position. She became the bridge between 2 species who barely understood each other. Officials contacted her daily, asking her to explain human behavior. Human team members asked her to help them understand culture. She was no longer running from one life toward another. She was building something new. One morning, she received a private message. It was from her mother. Stared at the screen for a long time before opening it. "My daughter," the message began. "I have heard what happened at the mining station. I have read the reports about the humans. I have spent many nights thinking about your choice to stay with them. I was angry. I was ashamed. I felt you had betrayed our family and our way of life. But then I asked myself, what way of life? One where my daughter would rather die than live under our traditions. What does that say about us?" His hands shook as she continued reading. "Your father and I have lost our council seats. Our business partners have withdrawn. We are, by all measures, ruined, but you are alive. And the more I learn about these humans, the more I wonder if you made the right choice. Not the easy choice, not the profitable choice, but the right one. I do not ask you to come home. I only ask that you remember you still have family who loves you, even if we do not understand you." Wiped tears from her eyes. She wrote back immediately, her fingers flying across the keyboard. She told her mother about Jake, about Lisa, about the community that had welcomed her. She told her about game nights and shared meals. She told her about humans risking their lives for strangers. She wrote until her hands were tired and her heart felt lighter. That afternoon, Jake found her in the observation deck. She was staring out at the frozen landscape where he had first found her. "I heard from my mother," said without turning around. "That is good, right?" Jake asked, joining her at the window. "I think so. She is trying to understand. That is more than I expected." Looked at him. "Jake, do you know what you started that night in the tent?" "I kept you from freezing," Jake said. "That is all." "No," said firmly. "You did more than that. You showed me that there is a different way to live, and now others are seeing it too. Kelvin has been talking to his colleagues. Some of them are curious about human methods. They want to learn." "That is good," Jake said. "Maybe we can find some common ground." "But there are also those who are afraid," continued. "Has been spreading rumors. He says humans are manipulating us, that your kindness is a long-term strategy to make us dependent on you, that eventually you will demand payment for all you have given." Jake frowned. "That is not what we are doing." "I know that, but fear is powerful and has influence." Turned to face Jake fully. "He will try to hurt you again. He considers you a personal enemy now. You humiliated him in front of the council. You took away something he believed was his." "I did not take you away," Jake said. "You made your own choice." "Try explaining that to a lord who has never heard no in his entire life," said with a sad smile. Over the next month, tensions grew. More facilities began requesting human assistance with technical problems. Lisa and her team helped repair equipment, always refusing payment. Each time, they became more confused and more curious. Jake noticed the change in how workers interacted with humans. At first, they had been cold and formal. Now some of them were friendly. They asked questions. They shared stories about their own lives. Small bridges were being built. Then the attack came. It happened during a routine supply run. Jake and 3 other humans were transporting equipment to a research site when their transport was ambushed. Armed figures in unmarked armor surrounded them, weapons drawn. The leader stepped forward. Even through the armor, Jake recognized the voice. "Get out of the vehicle," ordered, slowly. Jake, his hands raised. "What is this about?" "Justice," said. "You have poisoned my people with your soft philosophy. You have made them question our ways. You have cost me my bride and my reputation. Now you will pay the price." "If you kill me, you will start a war between our species," Jake said calmly. "No," said, "because there will be no proof, an accident in the ice fields, equipment failure. These things happen." He raised his weapon. "Any last words, human?" "Yeah," Jake said, "look behind you." Laughed. "The oldest trick. Do you think I am fool?" "I think you are surrounded," Jake said. Spun around, and human forces stood together in a circle around his team. At the front was Kelvin, the mining station commander, along with Commander Phillips. "Stand down," Kelvin said in, "this ends now." "You dare give me orders?" demanded. "I dare stop a criminal," Kelvin replied. "You have violated our laws by attacking unarmed visitors. You have brought shame to all with this cowardly ambush." "They are destroying our culture," shouted. "Can you not see what they are doing? They give and give until we feel obligated to give back. It is manipulation." "It is kindness," said, stepping forward. "Something you have never understood. Jake saved my life without knowing who I was or what I was worth. He helped your workers without demanding payment. He risks his life for strangers. That is not manipulation. That is who he is. That is who humans are. You have been corrupted by them, spat. No, said, I have been freed by them. There is a difference. Kelvin signaled to his security forces. They moved forward and disarmed team. Stood frozen, his weapon pointed at the ground. You are making mistake, said quietly. The council will not accept this. They will say you have chosen humans over your own kind. Then let them say it, Kelvin replied. I have seen what humans do. I have watched them help without hesitation. I have learned that strength is not only about transactions and power. Sometimes strength is about doing what is right even when it costs you. He looked at Jake. The humans taught me that. Was taken into custody. As security led him away, he looked back at Jake one last time. This is not over, he said. For you it is, Kelvin said firmly. That evening there was a gathering at the human base. For the first time, and human workers sat together in the common room. They shared food and stories. The language barrier caused confusion and laughter, but translated when needed. Jake found himself sitting between Kelvin and Lisa. The commander was studying the humans around him with fascination. I still do not fully understand you, Kelvin admitted, but I want to learn. My workers tell me they feel different after spending time with humans, lighter, less burdened by obligation. That is because we do not create obligations, Lisa said. We just try to help each other live better lives. It is revolutionary, Kelvin said quietly, and dangerous. It challenges everything we have built our society on. Maybe your society could use some challenging, Jake said gently. Kelvin was quiet for a moment, then he laughed. It was a strange sound, harsh and unpracticed, like he was not used to laughing, but it was genuine. Perhaps you are right, Jake, perhaps you are right. Weeks turned into months. The relationship between humans and on Terra 7 grew stronger. Some began adopting small human customs, sharing tools without logging transactions, helping colleagues without expecting immediate return. Small changes but significant ones. Became an official cultural liaison, her position recognized by both species. She wrote reports that were read throughout the network. Her descriptions of human society sparked debate in academic circles. Some called her work dangerous propaganda. Others called it necessary truth. Her family gradually reconnected with her. Her younger siblings sent messages full of questions about humans. Her father admitted in a careful, formal note that he was proud of her courage even if he did not understand her choices. One clear day, Jake took back to the place where he had first found her. The emergency tent was long gone, but the location was marked in his navigation system. Do you ever regret it? Jake asked. That night, walking into the storm. Thought carefully. I regret the pain I caused my family. I regret that I felt death was my only escape. But I do not regret what came after. You gave me a choice that night, Jake. Not just the choice to live, but the choice to live differently. I just shared my tent, Jake said with a smile. You shared more than that, said. You shared a philosophy, a way of seeing the world, and that is spreading now, not just to me but to others. Kelvin is teaching his workers about cooperation without transaction. My mother is reading human philosophy texts. Change is happening. Change is scary, Jake said. Yes, agreed, but necessary. My people have been locked in their transactional thinking for so long, we forgot there are other ways to live, ways that might make us happier, ways that might make us better. They stood together in the cold, looking out at the ice fields. The wind blew, but it was gentle now, not the killing storm that had brought them together. Jake said after a while, "Thank you." For what? Jake asked. For inviting me into your tent that night, for giving me warmth, for showing me kindness, for teaching me that not everything in life needs to be a transaction. She smiled at him. You probably saved hundreds of lives that night, not just mine. How do you figure that? Jake asked, confused. Because you changed how I think about humans, and how some of us think about ourselves. That kind of change ripples outward. Who knows how many lives will be different because of what you did? Looked at him. You invited an alien girl into your tent to warm up, not expecting what came next. Neither of us did. You gave me heat and I gave my people fire. Jake laughed softly. That is very poetic. I have been spending time with Lisa, said. She says humans appreciate poetry. We do, Jake said. Along with bad jokes, good food, and helping people who need it. Sounds like a good way to live, said. It is, Jake agreed. And you are welcome to share it with us for as long as you want. They walked back toward the base together. Behind them, the sun began to set over the frozen plains, painting the ice in shades of orange and purple. Two figures moving across the snow, one human and one, no longer strangers but friends. And in the growing darkness, lights from both human and facilities glowed across the landscape, closer together than they had been before. The galaxy was vast and full of species who measured everything in transactions and value. But here on Terra 7, something new was growing. Something that could not be measured or traded. Something that started with one human sharing warmth in a storm, and one learning that kindness without price was not weakness but strength. The unexpected consequence of that one night continued to spread, and the galaxy, whether it was ready or not, was beginning to change.